Season 2, Episode 5 of The Mandalorian. This is the one and only awesome review. Also, some wonderful Easter eggs you may have missed right here on All Comics Access. Welcome to All Comics Access. It's your host, Joe, the Beast McCoy, aka The Mixed Marvel. And I cannot put into words how amazing, mind-blowing, and just all-around phenomenal this episode was. I mean, masterpiece. That's like the best way to explain it. So you can definitely tell this episode was directed by the legendary Dave Filoni. If you're wondering who that is, that gentleman is the co-creator of Ahsoka Tano, and he absolutely stayed true to the wonderful character. I mean, the fact it opened up with non-stop action was outstanding, and we saw there was nothing but pure accuracy right from the jump. And if anyone's also wondering a little bit about Ahsoka Tano, we remember her in particular from the Clone Wars series. She kind of reminds me of a Ronin in a sense. She was falsely accused of bombing the Jedi temple in Coruscant, but thankfully, through some great detective work, we learned that she was falsely accused. Now, initially, the Jedi Order had expelled her, but even when she was given the invitation to come back to the Order, she saw flaws in it, and obviously was hurt due to their lack of respect and care for her in the first place. So basically she saw her own journey from day one, and we haven't seen her since the Rebel series when she went to go seek for young Ezra along with Sabine Wren. So it's just great to see her in live action, and dare I say, Rosario Dawson, she looks stunning. I mean, I say it because I'm a big fan of her in general, but she does look stunning as Ahsoka Tano. And what was pretty cool, we saw a great deal of things in this episode. We saw her wielding her double white lightsabers, which are very unique to Ahsoka Tano. If you're wondering, hey, how did she get those? So, do a little bit of Star Wars history rundown. Basically, she had killed an Inquisitor. Inquisitors were hired by the Empire to seek out and kill the Jedis, especially the Jedis in particular that survived Order 66. And of course, Ahsoka Tano was hunted down by a pretty lethal one by the name of Sixth Brother. But Ahsoka Tano has the skills to pay the bills, and so she struck him down. After she put him out of commission, she took the two lightsabers that were originally his and purified them, turning them white, which is pretty awesome. Now, when we move forward, we notice after Ahsoka gets done kicking some serious butt, when she's at the wall talking to the magistrate, we see her still wearing the cool tooth headdress that she has become well acquainted with throughout Star Wars history. Now, if you're wondering about this cool little headdress, it is something that is well known amongst her people, the Togruta. It can only be earned in actuality by slaying a fierce beast called the Akul. The ultimatum that she put before the magistrate of only giving her a brief period of time to come to a decision to get the information in which she needed kind of was reminiscent of how Luke put a proposition, or should I say ultimatum, before Jabba the Hutt in the Return of the Jedi series. When the Razor Crest enters the planet of Corvus, we notice that one of the individuals of the magistrate is clocking him. That's definitely reminiscent of the rebels doing the same thing in The New Hope. I don't know if you're like me, when you hear Corvus and they say a forest planet, you know, you're expecting some lush greens, and strangely enough, it was anything but that. But I'll explain a little bit later on. So it's pretty crazy when Mando enters the city. We notice right away, you know, you got robots on the roof, You got people on torture devices. There's this dark, gloomy aura to it. It's just like set up for some sci-fi awesomeness. So it's pretty cool when the Mandalorian walks through the city and finally meets the magistrate. It's pretty interesting, the setting that she's in. It's kind of reminiscent of the Hutts when you look at the architect of the building behind her. She gives the Mandalorian a bit of a proposition to kill the so-called Jedi. That is a nuisance to her. Now, what is interesting, as payment to kill Ahsoka Tano, she offers him something very tempting, a Beskar spear. Now, what's pretty cool, this Beskar spear would be pretty familiar to the Mandalorian Din Djarin, because more than likely it is known as Baby Yoda. Say that 100 times fast. It's a traditional Mandalorian hunting spear. So when the Mandalorian is looking for Ahsoka Tano on his mission from the magistrate, so to speak, we notice a little owl that's up there on the branch of the tree. So it's pretty cool. This got me very excited because I would love to say this is Mirai. If you're not familiar with Mirai, Mirai was a female convor with spiritual ties to the one known as the Daughter, a mighty force wielder from Mortis. And as we know from Star Wars lore, Mortis was said to be the birthplace of the Force. Now, when the Mandalorian finally crosses paths with Ahsoka later on, it is truly epic. So they're definitely dueling it out. You know, he whips out the flamethrower, which we know is his go-to weapon of choice. And what was pretty awesome, as she's battling the lightsabers, you definitely see the appreciation for the Beskar steel. I mean, the fact he could stand toe-to-toe with her lightsabers was pretty crazy. But like we've seen in times past of Star Wars history, you know, this kind of steered in the favor of the Jedi. Definitely when Mando hit her with that cable and she got the best of him, reminds me of someone of times past by the name of Luke Skywalker and Boba Fett. So we remember when he grabbed, you know, Luke with the cable. Didn't end so well for that Mandalorian either. Alright, so thankfully with some slick maneuvering and a quick moment of proposition of peace, we see that Mandalorian was able to state his case to Ahsoka Tano. And of course he mentioned he was sent by Bo-Katan. And something I was not prepared for. We finally learn the child, aka Baby Yoda's name, Grogu, which is pretty crazy. So we learn also that he originally was a student of Coruscant from times past. Now, strangely enough, if you're like myself, you might be wondering, well, Ahsoka Tano was trained on Coruscant as well. I wonder why they never crossed paths. But we also, in particular, know that, you know, his species does age a little bit slower. And I thought it was quite touching when she mentioned that she did only know of one other individual of a similar species, much like him, the wise master Yoda. And what was pretty cool, they played a little hint of the theme music during that moment. She briefly had to explain what the Force was to Din Djarin, because, you know, he displayed it as, hey, he did some stuff, some powers, and she gave a pretty cool explanation. And what was wonderful about her explanation, it was definitely in comparison to Obi-Wan Kenobi's explanation of the Force when he first spoke to Luke in the New Hope movie. Basically, this wonderful child was put into hiding after the fall of the Jedi Order, which we remember in particular from Revenge of the Sith movie. Now, what was pretty cool, we noticed that she emphasized it took him time and years of training to even wield the Force, that this isn't just a whimsical thing. So the displays of Force wielding ability that we have seen from Baby Yoda is due to his years of training at the Jedi Temple. And considering that he had a number of masters, also puts emphasis on the fact that he could have learned possibly a number of other skills as well. And I thought what was pretty cool, you know, when she was training Baby Yoda, so to speak, to see his force abilities with the stone, that was definitely reminiscent of Luke and Yoda training on Dagobah. We know immediately, though, that Ahsoka Tano sensed fear from Grogu once she started training him. And we know, especially when it comes to the light side of the Force, that fear can be a very dangerous thing. We see that she alludes to times past of what fear can do to a Jedi. And in particular, when she noticed that only Grogu would take objects from Din Djarin himself, that he has a very strong attachment to Din Djarin, which she said can truly endanger the child. And when she alludes to the simple fact that, hey, I've seen this sort of thing affect Jedi Knights, this keeps in mind that she's definitely talking about her former master, Anakin Skywalker. Because if we remember from times past, Anakin Skywalker, his biggest issue was the attachments that kind of led to his downfall. Initially, with his strong attachment to his mother and her loss was a push over the edge. And then, also, later on, his strong attachment to Padme. And after one trigger after another, definitely helped push him a little bit closer towards the dark side. Also, what was interesting to note, we have noticed throughout the series a little bit that, Grogu has done some questionable things. So, of course, out of concern for the child, Din Djarin makes a great proposition to Ahsoka Tano and says, hey, if you will train the child, as I was sent on this mission to do, I'll help you with whatever you're seeking out to do. So definitely we know from the beginning of the episode, Ahsoka Tano's original purpose here was to get information from the evil magistrate that had taken over the planet of Corvus. So we learned that Morgan Elsbeth was known around the time of the Clone Wars. And sometime afterwards, when her people were massacred, this triggered her to be fueled with rage and to definitely help out with the Imperial fleet to conquer worlds and deplete their nutrients for personal gain. Alright, I have to tell you right from the jump, when Ahsoka went back and scaled the city walls, and the way she entered that city, it had this awesome, epic, samurai kind of vibe to it. I just loved it. It was just like magnificent watching her put in the work, do those things, and it was just crazy. And then also to see like Din Djarin slowly go in the background of things, when they thought he was dead and she's moving so stealthy, and then the showdown between the Mandalorian versus the hired gun, aka, some mercenary dude. What I thought was pretty amazing was the back and forth between the Mandalorian and also the hired gun. Basically it was like a battle of wit. And then of course, whoever was the fastest gun, like an old school Western style. But what was pretty phenomenal as far as the battle between Ahsoka and the magistrate was how when she lost her saber, she still was killing. She was still beasting it. She switched back to, the traditional Shoto style of lightsaber dueling, which she was really good at back in the day. So it was just great to see her improvise and kind of stay on target with everything. And then what was pretty awesome, finally, she defeats her and gets the information we've all been waiting to hear about. Because, the whole episode's like, alright, what is she seeking? What mystery lies ahead? And I have to tell you, I was not prepared for what I heard next. She asked where Grand Admiral Thrawn was. I almost fell out of my seat. Grand Admiral Thrawn is one of my favorite Star Wars villains ever. And in case you don't know who he is, I'm going to give you a quick rundown. So, Grand Admiral Thrawn had this crazy look to him. He was, a being from one of the unknown regions of the galaxy. And what was crazy when, the Emperor, so to speak, got familiar with him, he saw that Grand Admiral Thrawn had a great tactical mind. Basically, his mindset and his strength was picking out weaknesses of his enemies. And it would make sense she's seeking out Thrawn, because if we remember in actuality from the time of the Rebel series that her good friend Ezra took Thrawn on. And of course, towards the end of Rebels, we saw that Ahsoka and Sabine Wren were in search of Ezra. And that's kind of like where we were left off at things. So it'd be pretty great to see in the live action verse of Star Wars, so to speak, what happened to Ezra, what happened to Sabine Wren, because we don't see her so far, but it'll just be great to see all this come full circle. And last but not least, we see everything draw to a close. You know, we see the original town magistrate being reinstated to his post. We see the people celebrating, and what was very heartwarming, we saw Ahsoka and Din Djarin chatting it up a little bit. She gave him the traditional Mandalorian hunting spear, which was pretty awesome. And it was going to be a sad moment to see him say bye to Baby Yoda. But in an interesting twist, Ahsoka Tano kind of stood her ground, because she was hesitant earlier about training the child, and kind of stuck to that mindset. And what was interesting was she said, I cannot train the child. A lot of things went through my mind, because, you know, as you can see on the shirt, and just, you know, the amazing quote from actually the Rebel series Ahsoka Tano was on when she got a little bit older. She clearly stated, I am no Jedi. And we're reminiscent of the moment when she left the Jedi Order during the Clone Wars time. She won our own. In a sense, was this epic female Ronin sort of character following her own path, her own journey. So, you know, the Master Padawan thing may not be her thing necessarily, even later in life, as she is, you know, on her own mission, so to speak. She actually suggested to Din Djarin to go to an ancient world, which we are all too familiar with, Typhon. And we know Typhon from Star Wars lore. In particular, if you're a fan of the Old Republic, we remember it a little bit on the video game. And also, I'm a huge Darth Bane fan, so from the book The Rule of Two, that's a planet where he went to go seek an ancient Sith holocron. We definitely know that Typhon is well connected to the Force, and also it is said to be the original place of the Jedi. We definitely know that's a little bit up for debate, because some say it's this planet, that planet, but I really found an interesting piece of literature from back in the day, Dawn of the Jedi, great comic book from Dark Horse, went really in depth about the benefits of this planet and how the Jedi got their start there. So I'll leave that up to you. But anyway, as far as young Grogu going to this planet, she suggested, hey, have him on a special seeding stone to meditate in a sense, send off this Force beacon where he can attract a possible Jedi Master to train him. And she emphasized, hey, there's not many left in the galaxy. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes about of this. Only time will tell. And it has to bring a couple questions of mine, because we've seen some things here and there. Will young Grogu attract a possible Mace Windu? Maybe Luke, or some other random individual from Star Wars lore. And it's something that I thought in the back of my mind, could this possibly attract a Sith Lord? You know, that might want to persuade him to the dark side, because, you know, we've seen some things and we definitely know they're slick talkers, so it's hard to say what could go. Or there might be some random surprise on this planet we're not expecting at all. Whatever your thoughts are, I would love for you to leave them down in the comment section. Alright folks, so that wraps up everything here at All Comics Access. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Just want to add my 2 cents on this iconic episode. I'm excited to see what episode 6 will have in store, because as we've been learning throughout this season 2, hey, you just never know what to expect episode to episode. Also, if you are wondering about this awesome shirt I got on, definitely check out my buddies at Once Upon a Tea. Special link down there below to grab all your cool Star Wars artistic looking shirts and stuff like that. And what's even cooler, feel free to use my discount code Joe the Beast McCoy. I'll definitely leave that down there. That's all mashed as one word together, just to be on the safe side. Also, folks, if you haven't already, make sure to like the video and please subscribe to the channel, because I will be bringing review videos week to week, along with sprinkling some Easter eggs in there. And also, I have to give you a heads up, I will be doing a giveaway in the very near future, so please stay tuned for that awesome giveaway contest coming up very soon. And just want to let you know, if you're having a rough time out here, please keep your head up, be who you are, don't give up, and most of all, when you're feeling down and out, rise up and geek on.
If you see Francis, tell him I'm looking for him. I need to find him. Let me know where he is.
He's gonna get served.